myself, and all the boys in Hillsborough Street. We go down to the cinema thinking we're going to be able to sneak in by crawling through the window at the top. But that was the problem, because if you crawl through, then you jump down into the pit. Somebody's going to capture you. So we decided plan number 2 is there was what we call a pee-pee hole. Fellas used to go there and pee. And there was a hole where the pee was going down in a channel. So what you do, you wait until the movie starts and it's dark inside. And fellas crawl up the pee-pee hole. That's it, man.
And that's how they got in?
Of course.
What?
Are you not getting wet then, Clayton?
Fellas
But
crawl
at that time, you don't care. You want to see the movie.
Fellas crawl up the pee-pee hole. You have to go and see Durango Kid and Charles Starrett and all that Robin Hood and all these old movies, you know. They were showing up at the time. So you crawl with pee-pee hole. Once it's dark, one after the other, the pee-pee hole.
These guys are going one after the other.
Clayton, were you already in the grammar school or no?
Nah, man, that was my mixed school days. That was
Boy.
you crazy to go to grammar school and go to a pee-pee hole for Archer to find out about.
Exactly.
But at the same time,
And when you say Archer, you're talking about Victor A. Archer.
But then also you're bigger too.
Yeah,
at
sure.
that time.
Yeah, what was the AA for now? What
I
was,
have no idea.
Victor A. Archer.
do you remember Archer, Dave?
Archer.
Yeah, man.
What kind of principal was he?
Huh?
What kind of principal was he?
Of course
He was a very, very disciplinarian type of guy.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Without any doubt.
No monkey
You know?
around with Archer.
And as a result of that, the ethos of the school increased, and the performance increased,
Yep.
and he was knowledgeable of what was needed in terms of science and arts and shows and things like this. He brought all of these things on.
That's correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. I have seen a photograph of him with a microscope, Clayton, and so he.
Did I send that to you or you sent it?
No,
to
I
me?
saw it in the Grammar School 100th Anniversary magazine.
Oh, okay.
And that picture to me was emblematic of his time there, because he was a science graduate from McGill University in Montreal, Canada.
Correct.
And so he improved on the science education.
Yeah.
And the cadets too, cadets.
Yes, he fixed the cadets
He
too.
fixed the cadets, man.
Archer would just leave the grammar school there on Hillsborough Street and go to the administrator's office and say to the administrator, he wants equipment for the cadets.
Yeah.
And you have the hose.
Shoes, your hose.
And the what was that?
The Australian bush hat.
What
Yeah,
was
the
that?
push hat.
The cap?
The hat.
The hat, yeah. The push hat.
He would get all these kind of things.
Clayton, you were a cadet, a sergeant or corporal?
For me,
Yeah.
never did very well in the cadet business.
But you're a corporal, weren't you?
I was a corporal, and that's as far as I got.
What about you, Dave?
I was CQSM, man. I was in charge.
What is that?
I'm telling you.
Raglan
Yes,
was-
that's company quartermaster sergeant.
Company
Raglan
quartermaster
was a
sergeant.
Yes, yes, yes.
I was always drilling at the head of the thing.
So what is that? Armistice Day parade, Empire Day
Yeah.
parade?
I drilled at the head.
Can you tell, for those young Dominicans who would not know, what the impact of the grammar school cadets drilling through Roseau, what was the public reaction?
The public reaction was one of pride, because many of their children were part of that group of individuals who were participating then. And in fact, Roseau was proud of them in general.
Very much so.
Yeah, they
People
were
would
proud
line
about
up the
that.
side of the road to see the cadets drill out of the grammar
school.
school on Hillsborough Street all the way through the Botanic Gardens.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, and Porco's Grill
was at the head.
was in charge
Was
at
in
one
charge,
time.
yeah.
And there was a Bruni fellow who was in
Yeah.
charge as well.
And what Bruni
Those
was doing
fellows
here
had
now?
been
I-
in the
Claude Bruni.
Claude
in
Bruni.
the-
Claude
Claude
Bruni.
Bruni.
Claude was in the British Army with my dad
Yeah.
during the war.
These fellows had some connection to the war effort.
Yeah,
Also-
Claude was an ex-serviceman.
Yeah.
I remember him because on Armistice Day he would be in the ranks of the Legion, the Dominican Legion of the Royal Ex-Commonwealth Servicemen's League. They would go by the cenotaph up by the Fortune Hotel there. And you would also go by the cenotaph during the Armistice Day parade, is that right,
Yeah,
Clayton?
yeah. But I don't remember very much of it. I remember the going to the gardens part of it more than anything.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time in the gardens, including going to the back and thieving the oranges. You were not involved
That's
in
a
that.
different issue.
You may not have been involved in that, but Johnny Robinson, Ashworth Elwin, myself, so-called Black Albert, they had to put one Black Albert and one White Albert because they're two Albert Shillingfords. My brother, the one from Grenada, is the White Albert.
Red Albert.
And the other Albert for Vernice, who's up in New York, was called the Black Albert, to distinguish one from the other.
But it's interesting you say that, in grammar school in Fulham, we had 3 Albert Shillingfords, one black and 2 what you call White Alberts.
Yeah.
One is in California now, the other one I don't know where he is. But that's interesting that 20 years before you had the same
Black
thing.
Albert is in New York.
No, but I'm talking about a different time, after your time. We had the same situation because, we had a lot of Shillingfords. As Cousin Margaret said here, the Shillingford name was ubiquitous in Dominica.
That's the word I was going to use.
All Shillingfords went into Skinner House.
Yeah.
That was how it was.
Like the Robinson.
I was in Benedict Joseph. Rosie Douglas told me that Benedict Joseph was a student of his time who died in a drowning. Is that true? Did you know Benedict Joseph?
I
remember Benedict
I
Joseph,
heard the
yes.
story.
But I didn't know what happened to him. I knew Benedict Joseph.
But he died when in school.
He died when he was in school.
When he was a schoolboy,
And Archer named
Schoolhouse.
schoolhouse after Benedict
After
Joseph.
Benedict Joseph, correct, yes.
Okay, so how many houses were there at the
3.
time? So there's Dupini, Daubini,
There's Skinner,
Daubini, and
and
Schoolhouse.
Schoolhouse of Benedict Joseph.
Okay, so
BJ.
so it was Skinner, Daubini, Dupini, and Schoolhouse.
No Dipini.
No Dupini at the time.
No.
So it was Skinner, Daubini, and Schoolhouse.
BJ.
Schoolhouse.
No,
And Schoolhouse was turned into BJ. Okay.
Benedict Joseph.
I wonder when Dupini came in.
Dipini school, high school. Not high school, but college.
Yeah.
No, there's a Dupini house.
Well,
Later in my time, there was a Dupini house,
Yeah.
but I guess it maybe came after some prominent Dominican that passed away, and they wanted to honor the person.
So in your time, how many
There were
houses?
4 houses.
Okay.
Dupini, B.J. Skinner, and what's the other
Daubini.
one? Daubini.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when I say
Well, you must have 4 houses then because you have so many students.
Well, I think that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
think it came after as a result of maybe somebody they wanted to recognize that
Yeah.
was
And they have
related.
plenty students.
Right. And most students from the country and all was coming in.
correct.
Yeah. So I think that's how that started. Yeah.
well, that being from about students from the country, started with Archer.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
then Archer was intent on expanding
The-
the population of
Giving access
the
to
grammar
higher
school.
education to grammar
And
school.
a lot of students came from the country.
Yeah, well, grammar school, of course, was the
And
first
in fact-
one, yeah, to open.
In fact, in Dominica, families who related to the folks from the country, they were boarding
With those
all-
families in
with
town.
families,
Yeah, absolutely. I was an offspring of that.
all over town. you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
I
Yeah.
remember the Riviers, they were boarding, and several, that rascal called Nicholas Liverpool from Grand Bay, and so on. Yeah.
You said he had something called the Babad. What is a Babad, Clayton?
What?
He said that there was a group that was being formed and money was collected to do with the group, literary club or something, and he took the money to buy a Babad. Was Babad a cake or something?
That was Nick Liverpool who did that. Because he had been in the school maybe a year or 2 before the newcomers, the rascal came to us and said he wants to form a cricket club. But a condition for forming the cricket club, you have to give him 6 pence or a shilling, because that was the currency at the time.
Right.
So we want to form a cricket club.
You give the
We
money.
give the man the money. And every recess, the guy has money there buying Luga and Babad and
For himself.
For himself.
What is Babad, Clayton? For people,
Form of tablet or whatever.
I remember about Luga. The lady who was bringing all those things into the recess had a house directly opposite to the grammar school, the big
Miss
gate.
Olive, Miss Olive.
Miss Olive, that's right, Miss Olive. That's correct. Miss Olive would bring these things, and fellows have money for them to buy this thing.
And you were sitting in there.
So what happened to the cricket club?
There was never any cricket club.
That was Baba, though.
You know,
Plenty Baba been eating.
you know, all these years after, Nick Liverpool is in a little party up at my brother's place there at the top of Checo. And I had the audacity
To ask
to
him.
go and give people that story. Garçon, monsieur était fâché. The man was upset because at that time, the guy was already, he may have already been president
Ah,
of Dominica. And to go and tell a story about,
Like about that.
how the man take money from fellas to buy
Making him look bad,
Lola
yeah.
and this and that and the other. There was another thing they used to make, and I don't know what it's called. You put coconut in it and so on. And
The tablet, you mean?
a tablet, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
There's tablet, but there's also what you call
Loga.
there's loga is what you call
Peanut.
peanut brittle. It's with
Tablet,
yeah.
The coconut, yeah.
And there's also something else where they would grate the coconut.
The fudge with the
No,
cream.
they'd grate the coconut. Well, they'd grate coconut in little bits and do it and roast it with sugar and
Yeah.
fine cocoa.
Faring cocoa, yes. Because faring with the cassava is like the same consistency, but
faring
it's just
cocoa.
that it's coconut, so they say faring cocoa. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, boy, you know this is interesting history.